Some pretty revealing polling about just how everybody is feeling about 2024 and the potential Biden-Trump rematch. Go ahead and put this tweet up on the screen. New polling here that shows is from CNN. So among Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters, they asked whether they wanted the presidential nominee to be Joe Biden or to be someone else. 45% said Joe Biden, the incumbent president and leader of the Democratic Party, and a majority, 51%, want a different candidate. Okay, extraordinary numbers for the dude who is the sitting Democratic president of the United States and who has said he fully intends to run again. The Republican side is not that much better of a picture, actually, for Donald Trump. Granted, he is not currently the president, so it is a little bit of an apples and oranges comparison. But among Republicans and among Republican-lean voters, their majority, 50%, say they want Trump as the nominee, and 49% say they want a different candidate. So basically a 50-50 split for Trump. On the Democratic side, you've got, a little bit of an edge towards we want another person. And Saagar, when you dig into these numbers, a big part of the problem for Biden is, number one, people are worried that he can't be reelected. 35% say mostly the reason they want a different nominee is because they doubt Biden's ability to win. And the rest offered up different reasons for wanting to switch up the ticket. The most common, 19%, were concerns about Biden's age. He's going to be 82 by November of 2024. On the Republican side, only 19% had a specific alternative to Trump in mind, while 29% said just anyone other than Trump. But among those who had a specific alternative to Trump in mind, one name stood out. 21% of those voters mentioned Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, with no other potential candidate getting more than 1%. So that also gives you some insight into why Trump has gone to war with DeSantis, because he cannot take even a small fraction of the Republican base actively preferring DeSantis to him.
Yeah, I think that's broadly the situation. At the end of the day, all those Republicans will still vote for Trump. On the Democratic side, I actually don't know, because this is the fascinating part, too, with Biden. He doesn't have strong support amongst the Democratic base.
No.
The reason why I have complete certainty that Trump would win the nomination is because those 50% are the hardcore Republicans who support him and would come and crawl over broken glass to vote for him in a primary. Does that exist for Joe Biden in the Democratic base?
No.
See, that's the difference, which is that he has no strong affinity within the Democratic base. Everyone's kind of like, yeah, sure, Joe, okay. I mean, they'll vote for him, maybe. We'll see how it shakes out. Well, how's the weather that day? All those other different things. With Trump, that's not what exists. So even though the Trump number is 50%, the other 50 are people who probably hold him in a relative esteem, don't like some of the stuff, but still would vote for him because they don't like the left. With Biden, it really is up in the air. It's interesting, while you were talking, I actually pulled the numbers for how Biden compares with past presidents.
Yeah.
This is just really pathetic. I mean, Biden is currently tied with Donald Trump on this exact day in his presidency for his disapproval, but Trump had what advantage? Well, he has the fact that the Republican base had a, 95% approval rating.
They were all in for him. There was no question that they wanted him for their nominee.
And the Democrats are like, sure. Barack Obama, he's running like 5 points behind him. Obviously, George W. Bush was around the 9/11 part of his presidency at this time, so it doesn't really compare. But Bill Clinton, he's running more than 14 points behind him. George H.W. Bush running, 30, 40 points behind him. Obviously, the farther you go back in history, we weren't as polarized. But just looking at the past two presidents, it's a pretty good benchmark to say that Biden is doing terribly in terms of his approval with the American people. But where he's actually more brutal is really on the issues, because, as we pointed to, most Americans feel Biden is not focused on the issues that matter to them. Build Back Better wasted, I don't even know what, a year of 8 months or something of national attention, and nobody cared about what was in it. A, because it was whittled down. B, because nobody really explained what it was going to do about inflation, high gas prices, and the supply chain crisis. And to this day, the president, I don't know what he does. I mean, you and I do this for a living. We monitor him very closely. He's more focused on ratcheting up the tensions in Ukraine than on gas. I mean, gas is out of control expensive. It's 50% of all inflation. What is the president doing? No plan. There's nobody being summoned. The supply chain is the same thing. I was just looking. You know what the domestic cost of shipping a couch from China 2 years ago was $50. Today is $500.
Wow.
I mean, $450 that are being passed directly to you and me anytime we buy furniture. That's just furniture. Same with the car. I just read a piece. 83% of cars in the United States are selling above MSRP. Just in 2019, it was 2%. 83%. That's crazy town. The dealers have all the power now.
Yeah.
That's how crazy this system is.
Well, for the comparison to Obama, back in March of 2010, so analogous time period, 8 in 10, 80% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters wanted Obama to be the nominee again.
Right.
80%.
They loved Obama. Yeah.
And Biden's at 45.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, so it does show you. On the economic piece, I was thinking about a friend texted me this morning. They were like, "What do you even think Biden's going to talk about with regards to the economy and the state of the union?"
That's a great question. Right.
No idea. I mean, probably what he's going to do is he'll try to pump up the infrastructure bill like it was some big deal when it wasn't, and the American Recovery Plan, all of the provisions of which have already effectively all expired, and maybe have some wish list of things that he has no intention of actually passing.
Yes.
But who could say? Who even knows what his real economic agenda or what his priorities are? That was the other part of the problem with the Build Back Better bill is he never weighed in of these are my red lines, this is my priority, here's how we're going to get it done. There were a lot of issues there. But, it does open up the possibility for, if he does run again, a legitimate primary challenge threat. I mean, this is before you even have anyone really directly on the Democratic side out there making the case against this guy. And it's already only at 45%. And as you say, that's not even a hard 45%. That's a super soft 45% that could be very persuadable. So if you're an incumbent president looking at these numbers, this is total disaster because now not only do you have to worry about, all right, is it going to be Trump? How am I going to get through the general election? Right. But you got to worry that you are going to face a real primary challenge that is actually a true threat to you. As an incumbent sitting president, that is just an astonishing state of affairs. So that's why these numbers are so significant and why we wanted to highlight them, because it's an extraordinary circumstance and it creates massive vulnerabilities for Biden, who now has to shore up both sides of the political spectrum in order to have any shot at winning the presidency once again. And of course, if he's too old, decides not to run, whatever, and they try to line up behind Kamala, her numbers would be even way worse than this. So if you're the Democratic establishment right now looking at, we got to maintain our grip on power, you've got to feel a little uneasy about what this landscape looks like.
Yeah, I mean, look, not just uneasy, they're completely dead. I don't see how they can pull themselves out of this one. And just to give you guys an idea in terms of history, he's currently 6 points less popular than Jimmy Carter at the same point in his presidency. That takes real skill. Congratulations, Mr. President.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it, you get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.